Good morning, everyone. How are you feeling? Good? Good or great? Great? Yes! Amazing. So, welcome to Startup World Stage by Upcoming Energies, by Galp Upcoming Energies. For many, the stage. So, please feel at this stage. This is a space where you can find honest, transparent, and truth conversations of the state of the art of entrepreneurship and innovation. Okay, and we bring these conversations are brought by those who actually are doing things and can actually really talk about them. So please expect amazing conversations in this stage. Please stay tuned. My name is Tomas Archer. I am a partner of iMatch. We designed this agenda for you to have an amazing experience, and I would like to give a shout out to Galp for making this possible. Thank you, Galp Upcoming Energies, and I cannot stop to thank also to Microsoft and to my amazing team, Diogo, Claudia, and Luis, who were very, very exhaustingly preparing this moment. So thank you all. Let's go. Okay. So let me ask you something. So this is I need this in order to happen. So this has to be a conversation. Okay. I need you to come with me in this journey. Please have a seat. Paul Dias, you have a seat as well. I don't care. Come on. I really need you to stay with me on this one, okay? Yeah. I told you this was the stage. This stage. I told you. You'll see. So, I'm going to need you to come with me in this one. This has to be a conversation. Every time I'm on the stage, I want to feel you. Is that okay? So when I ask you something, I really need you to reply. Is that okay? Let's try again. That's not so cool. Whenever I ask you something, I need you to reply. Is that okay? Yes. Perfect. Now I feel you. Let's do this the whole day, okay? Let's go on this journey together. Okay, so let's get started on this amazing stage. And without further ado, we have the honor. This is a very special moment, and we have the honor to receive someone who has not only been a very special person developing the topics that we are going to speak about in this stage and actually on the other stage, but also has a very special story on how she has taught a lot of those who are today presenting and showcasing technologies. So without further ado, I'd like to call on stage and to present Professor Ana Paiva, the Secretary of State for Science. Please welcome her. Thank you very much, Secretary. Please feel welcome. Yes, please.
Oh my God. Hello. Well, good morning. Before I start, I'll switch to Portuguese because I have something to share. And I don't want it to be in English. Este pavilhão e este local é especialmente importante para mim. Quando eu era jovenzinha, eu fazia ginástica no Sporting. E nós usávamos este pavilhão para as exibições, E, portanto, esta sala em particular, nós vínhamos para aqui para aquecer, para nos vestirmos, para depois ir... E, portanto, reparem que algo que antes era usado para algo muito diferente, agora estamos aqui num novo mundo, num mundo da tecnologia, num mundo da IA, num mundo da inovação que me é especialmente querido. Portanto, sintam um bocadinho aquilo que eu sinto, que é uma honra enorme estar aqui com vocês neste local. So, again, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, celebrating startups. And today's program is an example of how far innovation has come in Portugal and the journey we face still to fully achieve our potential as a country and as an area. And I truly believe that we will get there, and you are the drivers for that. And let me start by sharing with you that these last 2 days, yesterday and Monday and Tuesday, my days were really full with an agenda fully dedicated to innovation. I had the pleasure to receive here in Portugal the Greek Deputy Minister for Development. And she visited to Portugal to get to know our innovations ecosystem and to get inspiration from developing what we're doing for developing their own innovation ecosystem. And on those 2 days, we visited tech-based startups such as Sensei. I think there will be people talking today here, the Unicorn Factory, interface centers, research, academic institutions, all dedicated to fostering innovation. And they, the team that came from Greece, were really amazed. And so was I. I have to admit. I have the idea that we're doing well. These last 2 days made me believe that we're doing much better, thanks to all of you. It was inspiring to see the work that is being done here by researchers, innovators, and how much closer we are now of what we want to be. But innovation is the outcome of both education and science. Many of you that are doing tech and AI and machine learning, we wouldn't be here today without algebra, calculus, probability theory, backpropagation, gradient descent, neural nets, and much of the science that lies behind the work we're doing today. For decades, even centuries, science is what drives innovation. And in this case, all these areas are there to create, they were there to create this revolution that we are at the moment witnessing. And you are part of that revolution. Thank you. It is undeniable, then, that role of science in innovation. And some of you probably have read at least the abstract or the first part of the Draghi report. I'm not going to ask who read it, especially the last part, but that the report is a call for change. And it talks about European competitiveness, and it says that universities are one of the central actors in innovation ecosystems, and they produce the highly skilled workforce, generate breakthrough research, and help to turn this fundamental research that we all need into practical innovation. So we cannot deny that research is essential to foster deep tech industries such as many of the startups here today. And many of these startups actually originated from research done in academic and scientific institutions. And I know many of them. And I know that some of my students also are part of that ecosystem. And they were funded by those who dared to take their research from the lab to the society. Our Greek guests said yesterday, and I agree, you are killing it. So, in fact, our startups have been quite successful in securing European funding. Between 21 and 24, 73 national projects have been approved by the European Innovation Council. And I have to say that it's super hard to get a project approved by the EIC. And 16 deep tech startups got funding in the Accelerator program. This is amazing. Since the beginning of Horizon Europe framework, which is the current EU framework, as some of you probably know, over 1.2 billion euros have been captured by research and innovation here in Portugal. The funding obtained in these first years of this program is already higher than the total funding obtained in the previous program, the Horizon 2020. And this is everyone's doing, you're doing. Congratulations. And I know that the path has not always been that smooth. Many of you have encountered obstacles along the road. One of the main ones, which we are focusing at the ministry, is how to actually translate knowledge, this knowledge that you get in research centers, produced in our research institutions, into innovation. How do you jump from there? And that is something that we understand it's important to develop. That challenge comes in many forms. In one hand, to foster innovation, it is essential to raise the number of PhD holders in industry. Only 10% of our researchers are working in companies. I bet many are here. I suspect at least some, I believe, are here. But most are still in the higher education sector. That needs to change. We need to have more researchers, more PhD holders in our companies. Industry responds to only 1.07% of the funding in science. If one considers the nonprofit sector, the total private funding is just 1.1%. And in Portugal, we really aim at the 3% of GDP for science in the next 5 years, both public and private. And therefore, we need to increase these values. Portugal is, but you may say, oh, it's Portugal. No, no, no. Portugal is not the only country that needs to overcome these figures. Business expenditure in R&D, which is the board, is in Europe, the average 1.2%. It's very low. Whereas in the US, it's 2.3%. These numbers is highlighted in a recent report, again, that I recommend you to read. It's fun, it's really good. It's the EU Innovation Policy, How to Escape the Middle Technology Trap. Please read, it's worth reading. And in that report, it shows values over the last 20 years in investment in high-tech and software companies. And indeed, what happens is that Europe is lagging behind. It's still investing in mid-tech industries. Now we're seeing that, how's that turning? It's changing. We need to change that. And those mid-tech industries do not require the same R&D intensity or offer the same growth potential as high-tech as the ones we're talking here. I could quote a lot more numbers from that report, but I don't want to bother you with that. But indeed, maybe we are at the moment in time that Europe and Portugal needs to do the right move and change. Okay? We know this reality, and there will be discussions today here, but I believe that we need to change, and you are part of that change. So from our part, the Portuguese government is aware of all these challenges, and we're taking many steps to contradict it that we'd like to share with you. For example, we are placing PhD holders in industry and funding them through programs in the Portuguese, funded by the Portuguese Science Foundation, and we'll co-fund hiring of PhD holders. Be aware of that. I think it's very important because FCT will fund 1/3 of the salary in the first 3 years of the contract. Regulations are now undergoing public consultation. Be aware because it's important. It's like this move that we need to see. We're facilitating the involvement in researchers in startups, boards by making it compatible with exclusivity at researchers at the university, fostering collaboration between academic and non-academic sectors through project calls and PRR investments. And ANI, our innovation agency, has taken the lead in structuring this framework to support the pipeline of these researchers coming to the industry. And we are in the process of renewing many partnerships, in particular with MIT, UT Austin, and Carnegie Mellon, with a special focus on innovation. And I know that some of the startups came from this collaboration, from these partnerships, is so important for Portugal. Several of the initiatives aim to support this creation of new startups, spin-offs, and to foster collaboration with startups themselves. So really, and I can say, as someone that comes from AI, let me just tell you one thing. Companies and you guys need to understand resilience, need to understand you have a vision, go for it. We'll support you. We want you to go. There's no problem of failing. Look, 30 years ago, when I started doing AI, I was told to give up. AI is going nowhere. That's what I was told all the time. Don't believe in those that tell you don't go. Believe in those that tell you go for it. That's the believe in yourselves. So I want to finish to say that science needs to support innovation, but for that we need you. Portugal needs you. And scientists also need innovation. And we need you to truly engage with the national science and technology ecosystem so that we work together to facilitate this relationship that is so fruitful for the future here in Portugal of our companies and our country. So let's achieve this change together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, so dear Santa, for this year, all I want is for all Secretary of States to be like Professor Ana Paiva. Is that a request that I can make? Well, this is Anna just made an exposure of what will be today's panels. So this is a perfect context on what we'll be discussing today. The time is now. Okay? We are already late, so we don't need to keep up with the others. We need to surface the others. We need to go beyond. And for that, we need action, immediate action in all sectors. So Thank you very much for your words and for your enthusiasm. What we'll do next is I'll guide you through the agenda of the day, and you'll see why I'm saying this, because actually we really are going through all these topics. Okay, so Europe's value proposition, check. Portugal's value proposition in terms of entrepreneurship, check. AI, responsibility and AI, check. The role of entrepreneurship, check. Well, we will immediately start with the Portuguese ecosystem of startups and scale-ups giving back to you and giving advices and sharing knowledge. This is value for free. Okay, so they will tell you how, but this is value for free. They've done it, they've tried it, they've failed. Especially they failed, and that's what the Professor Anna was explaining. Don't be afraid of failing. We have a culture that is afraid of failing. Please stop that. Let's all celebrate failure. Okay? Can we celebrate failure, please? Can we? Yes, we can fail. Now I'm resembling some speakers that I don't want. Okay, so then we have growing with positive impact. We'll have conversations around, because intentions are good, but then when it comes to that, are we really able to have this urge of growth and then keep the impact closed, keep responsibility close? How does this dichotomy work? This will be an amazing panel on that topic. After that, we will have real cases, real examples of how collaboration between startups, companies, and cities can work. Examples of, I won't tell you who, you can check it, but I want to keep the emotion, the suspense on hold. And but we will have those that are actually implementing and scaling pilots, telling you what's going good, what's going not so good, and what advices they give to those who come back after. Then we will have a very special moment, which is the launch of a movement. What Professor Anna was stating, we need to act, we need to move. That's exactly what we are going to do here. The entrepreneurship ecosystem got together and said, we want to be part of the decarbonization of City of Lisbon. So please hear us out and support us. You can be a part of this movement as well, if you want. Okay? It's really open. Then we will have a break. Whoever wants will have lunch. I'm not questioning that. And then in the afternoon, we will discuss exactly Europe's and Portugal's value proposition in terms of entrepreneurship. You can expect hot conversations, sometimes polemic, sometimes harsh truths, but that's what we're here for. It's not to be super consensual. No, we are here. What we can expect here are true conversations about what hurts, what's good, and what functions and what doesn't function, in terms of their perspective. Not there, but those who are coming next. Okay, okay. So after that, we will have an amazing discussion on responsible AI. This is developing super fast. Are we keeping it responsible? How can we do it? Is it possible? Is it out of our hands? Let's see, okay? And then innovators at scale. At this point, we're going to talk about, we're having unicorns, Portuguese and international, talking about growing. And this is a super interesting panel for you to understand the things that you need to have in mind when you want to grow. Okay? Does it sound good? Does it feel like a good agenda? Could it be like the main agenda, maybe? I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just saying something. Is the mic on? Oh, sorry. Okay. Shall we go to the next panel? Yes? Are you with me? Still with me? Great. Let's do this. Okay, so who do we have next? Tomas, you might ask. Oh, I'm going to take a nap here, okay? So you have to wake me up. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay, that's better. Okay, so thank you for asking. Next, we will have a very special agenda, as you can see, on Portuguese tales of entrepreneurship. For that, we'll call on stage the amazing Ricardo Jacinto, who will be the host. Please give a round of applause whenever people are. Come on. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Ricardo.
Morning.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't pay for claps, right? So let's just give them for free, okay? Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
Thank you.
Great. How are you feeling? Good? No, you feel good.
No, much better now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
See? Okay, so with Ricardo, we will call also Gonçalo Consigliere, CEO of Visor AI. Gonçalo, please come on stage again. Let's go. Let's give him some energy. Yes. Welcome, my friend. Also, Luís Batalha, founder and CPO of Ample Market. Please join us on stage. Come here. Let's go. And we were supposed to have Patricia Roque on stage. Unfortunately, Patricia is sick, and so we have the amazing Pedro Sacramento replacing in last notice. Thank you, Pedro, for being available. Please take it away. The stage is yours, my friends.
Thank you, Tomas. Hello, everyone. Good morning to all. Thank you for being here. We're having this first panel. Hopefully, it will be a good one. I'm going to try to extract some great stories of these guys and how Startup Portugal is helping us out, helping the ecosystem. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Ricardo, one of the partners at Shilling. Shilling is a community-led VC, which means really focus on the ecosystem, really trying to promote how the Portuguese ecosystem is shaping up over the last few years. We have been around for more than 12 years now, first as an angel club, now as a formal VC. Being a community-led VC means that the executive team is also partners, or is constituted by founders as well. And then we have a network of people that are founders from our founders advisors that are really helping us and helping the ecosystem to grow, to foster, and so on. As a fund, as a VC, we are very early stage focused, pre-seed seed, investing across Europe with a strong focus in Portugal, obviously. Sector agnostic and really willing to support our founders, support our community, and hopefully helping them to go to the next level. So let's move to the stars today. Maybe you can just quickly introduce yourselves. Gonçalo, please.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Gonçalo Consigliere. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Visor AI. Visor AI is a customer service automation company, so we help those big contact centers that we all already called or send an email or send a chat to them, from banks, insurance companies, utilities, and many others. And it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Good morning, my name is Luís. I'm one of the founders of Ample Market, so we are a platform that helps sales teams find and then connect with their next customers. We are around 90 people all over the world. We serve around 1,000 B2B companies. Actually, I've met a couple of customers in this room today, so it's good. I'm also one of the founders of Fermat's Library. It's a platform to annotate academic papers, and we reach a few million people every month. Yeah, that's it.
Hi, and I'm Pedro Sacramento. I serve in Startup Portugal since 2017. I'm the head of projects and operations. I'm also in charge of the internationalization area of Startup Portugal, and so I'm just here to add a few comments to the conversation. But of course, you guys are the stars here.
So yeah, let's go back to the stars. Let's start with the basics. Like I've seen that you started more on the, let's say, more on a corporate journey, in your very early days, and then you moved to the entrepreneurial kind of journey. What were the main reasons why? What took us there, or why did you decide to leave the corporate world to go to the startup world?
Okay, so I can start. Well, I started working in a bank 16 years ago, and then I moved to the consulting side. So I used to work for KPMG, I used to work for Deloitte, Actually, my former boss is here today from Deloitte. I did this, let's say, typical path that you do when you have a management degree. So you start working in consulting firms, and if you are a hard worker and you do things well and you have good evaluations, things go well with you and tend to keep you up in the corporate ladder. And I was there, and I was able to being promoted and everything. But I always felt that was something missing. In terms of, let's say, personal fulfilling, because there's not other reason for starting something from scratch. Because if you have a degree, if you are inserted in a, let's say, developing economy like Portugal, you always have opportunities, and it's quite, let's say, not that hard to have a good career and get your own money. But this is something that you have as a gut feeling that you need to do. When we started, my first company was not Visor AI. I mean, it was Jasby, which was a failed startup. So we are here to celebrate failures, as Tomas mentioned. So this was our first failure. At the time, when I left Deloitte, I started with my co-founders this first company, and we only had one idea. We had nothing else. But we just abandoned, let's say, stable careers to start it. And what we realized is that we knew nothing. So while I was at Deloitte, I was, for example, with the projects with Jose here, I was helping to open banks in Angola, so opening new banks. So people there, entrepreneurs, Angolan entrepreneurs, opening banks. So I was there, like, managing the projects of making those banks to be there one day and to be a bank. And I thought, okay, if I can help to open a bank, maybe I can help to open a small business like a startup. And I was completely wrong. Because to start a bank, you have like a roadmap, you have stuff, if you do it, and if you have enough money, and you cover all the steps and tick all the boxes, the bank will be there one day and you will have a bank. While if you have a startup, or you are starting a startup, there's no roadmap, there's no checklist, there's no nothing, and what is true today will not be true tomorrow. And it's just, it changes a lot on your fundamentals, that you think like, okay, I was a good performer, I did it well, I just follow like all the steps, and why cannot do it for my own thing, which is simpler than opening a bank. And I think it was my first reality check after the first year of entrepreneur, like understanding that it doesn't make sense. So now I need to take a decision, or I just keep pushing for it that will never go to any place, and I already knew it from the bottom of my heart. Or I go back to my previous career, consulting, for example, and hopefully I had the opportunity to do that. Or I will start over again with these learnings. So that's what I did. So with my co-founders, we just may be able at the time to, okay, let's try one more year of doing something new. Let's forget about what we did, and let's start again. And hopefully things have been working well, and now we have Visor AI, which is thriving. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think the result is being good, but with a very high cost, let's say.
Yeah. And what about you, Luis? And especially with the angle of US, since you started your companies in US.
Exactly. So I actually I studied physics, so I didn't think I was ever going to start a company. I thought I was going to be a researcher, but then during college, I was working on side projects with one of my best friends in physics, like grad school, and also with my brother. And my brother was studying computer science in the US at MIT, and he was very much exposed to startups and the startup culture. So he was sharing all these stories about entrepreneurs, and then we started working on kind of side projects, ideas. And then I actually went to work for a private equity for a few months, but we kept working during the weekends, and some of these ideas were getting serious, so we decided to stop for a year. So I quit my job. My co-founder was doing a PhD, he also put it on hold. And then my brother, he put the master's on hold, and then we decided to come to Portugal, and we said, we're going to take a year, we're going to run through some of these ideas, and let's see where we go. Then we ended up going to the US. We got investment from a fund in the US called Y Combinator that invests in early stage startups, and that's when the journey kind of started. We started with a completely different idea than Ample Market. We started with a company that was selling software to online stores, and then we ran into the problem of scaling the sales team, and that's how we ended up pivoting to Ample Market. But yeah, it's basically.
And you talked about dropping out what you're doing. Do you think it's easier to be a dropout in the US or in Portugal, for instance?
I think in Portugal, the problem is like you don't have a lot of examples of people that actually dropped out and were able to achieve some sort of success. If you think if you go to the best universities here, you go to Técnico, you go to FEUP and talk to the CS students there, like they don't look at Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, these famous people that dropped out and turned out to create these huge companies. They're not relatable, right? They're too far away from them. They need examples that were sitting where they were a few years ago in order to relate to them. So, if you think about dropping out, your parents are going to say you're going to be crazy, and you don't have examples around you that kind of, validate you dropping out to start working on a company. I think that's one of the biggest differences. And now you start getting more examples in the Portuguese ecosystem, but I think that's one of the things that you can do that has the highest ROI, and that doesn't cost much money. It's like taking these examples and talking to students and showing them, Talk Desk, a few other examples, Visor.
Feel free to reach out to Luis to talk about out.
I think that's super important.
And Pedro, being as a Startup Portugal, being a more political player in the ecosystem, how do you see these differences, and how do you think your work has to come along to help reducing them and improving the ecosystem?
In this case, I think there are multiple ways of doing our job. In one hand, we've been in San Francisco trying to learn the best practices. Actually, we met with João and Mika, the co-founders of Luis, and we listened to them, and of course we met with other accelerators, VC funds, and a lot of local players to try to understand how we can better expose Portuguese startups to these funds, because of course it's a goal to keep them here with us and with their headquarters in Portugal, but it still is okay if they go and secure good rounds of funding in the US, and then they keep their operations in Portugal, they keep employing and secure our talent in Portugal. That's also okay. So that's why a lot of companies are flipping and do this change of headquarters, but they are still a very important asset to our country. So we shouldn't feel bad about that. But at the same time, we should work together with our fellow associations across Europe. We should work in these ideas of the 28th regime and creating conditions to flatten these different regulatory systems in the EU, and try to create conditions to have in Europe at least the same conditions for startups to access to funding, and perhaps to try to also to change the mentality of some funds that can redirect the part of their investment to startups, and to be a little bit more without less fear to fail and also to risk together with the startups. And I think that is something that we also need to do. We all need to do it inside the European Union.
Picking up on that last sentence on the failure, and let's go into the more nitty-gritty details of being a founder. Can you share some stories of decisions you have made in the past that you thought, like, this is completely irrational, or it doesn't make any sense, but eventually after some time it turned out to be really very good decisions, but it was difficult to explain them, and then they come out to be very good?
Well, I think in our case, the fact that we started an AI team in an AI company in 2016 was kind of far-fetched thing, because was not that much companies in the world, and especially in Portugal. There were several, but not that much. And over time, now everything is AI. So we were there before it was cool. So I think it gave us some learnings, some things, some fundamentals that we know for a long time, and now market is realizing. But at the same time, with the introduction of LLMs, they changed and disrupted a lot of things. So we as a company, we had to take a lot of bold decisions, like completely abandon old stuff. Like, I always remember the case that we had one team member, one data scientist, that was for 1 year developing an algorithm to be able to generate sentences from one sentence. Like, okay, if you write something like, what time does the shop opens, and just press a button and it generates like 10 different ways to ask this question, to pose this question. Like, what time can I go to the shop or stuff like that. It was 1 year working on it. And then ChatGPT came out, and we just tried it. It's like, okay, generate 10 different ways to say it, and it was like automatic, and we tried, okay, please give me 100. And it was like, okay, next day we just talk to this guy and say, oh, guy, sorry, but look at this. Now there's a tool out there that does exactly what you were working for 1 year, that does exactly what you do. And I remember the face of this person in the beginning was like shocked, like, what? So I was working 1 year for nothing, and in my case, yeah, I was paying a salary for 1 year for nothing. So now we just need to move on and do something different. And this person in particular, like 2 weeks later, he resigned. Like, okay, I cannot live in this environment. Like, I was working on it, and it will never be there, and this development will never be released. I don't agree with this, so I need to go. Okay, we had to accept it because there was already a tool, an API that does it almost for free. So this was the kind of situation that we need to decide, like, okay, what's better, to give the best result to the client or to just use something that we have been developing, which is not the best because the market is evolving. And now this mindset, it needs to be very, let's say, fresh on our minds, which is everything will be disrupted sooner than we can imagine. And as soon as it's disrupted, let's accept it and embrace it. And it's, let's say, sometimes hard to understand or to accept it because you need to just abandon stuff that we have been doing, which is not easy to do. And in terms of your ego, it hurts.
and what about you, Luis? Like, have you experienced things like this? Like,
yeah, I was thinking about it. I think for us was when we moved to the US. So, the three of us, we had our families here, our friends, our lives were here. And we went to the US. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get visas. Like, even the team, early employees, they were here. San Francisco is super expensive. We're not, we hadn't raised money, so it was coming out of our bank account. So it felt a little bit counterintuitive because also our customer base was global. So I remember talking to friends, and they were always asking, like, but why are you there? It's like you could be, you could be working from here. Like, your customers are global. But in a way, like, for me, it was clear because I think my brother studied in the US. He went to MIT, and when he went there, like, he got similar questions. People were like, okay, you can watch the classes online. Why are you going there? You're going to pay $200K for a degree. But I think there's a lot of value in being there, being surrounded by the best companies in the world. And there's this law of, like, you are the average of the people, or the 5 people there you are surrounded by. I think that applies to companies as well. And we felt that, and it turned out to be really good for us. Like, some of our investors are from the Bay Area. We have a lot of customers there. But at the time, it felt like we were, going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Quick question on this one. Like, if you could go back, would you do it all over again or not?
With the knowledge that I have today?
Yes.
No, completely different. All different. But I believe that
but still being a founder. So going again to the founder
sure,
journey.
Yeah, I would be a founder again. But if I was starting my journey that we took 8 years to be where we are now, knowing what I know now, I will take 2 years. 2 years. So 2 out of 8. So I will save 6 years of learnings and failures and doing stuff in one way that doesn't work out. Yeah, but life is like this. So you learn as soon as you learn it. Now I know, but you cannot go back in time. The only thing you can do is do best for the future.
Would you do it all over again?
I think from a rational perspective, sometimes it's hard to justify being a founder because, especially when I talk to friends that are working at big tech companies and they are making a lot of money, working 9 to 5, not worrying too much. Like, for me, it's quite the opposite. So it's hard to justify. I would do it again because I'm not sure. Maybe it's a bug that I have. It's in me. So, so I would do it again.
All right, Pedro. And what is Startup Portugal doing besides trying the public policy and so on? Like, in terms of fostering the ecosystem, in terms of initiatives, in terms of events, in terms of...
Our job is to mitigate the risk of these guys. So I would say that besides being part of the task force that deliver non-refundable grants, I would highlight the programs that we do to foster the sense of community, starting by our monthly hangouts when we gather the community and we have all these experiences shared and and all these risks of failure can be sometimes mitigated when from peer-to-peer learning can be something that we should encourage. And of course we will be doing for the second consecutive year a conference where we will try to expose the Portuguese ecosystem to the different international players, investors, stakeholders that will take place in Porto. It's the SIM conference, Startups and Investors Matching. So it's our job to create conditions for these guys to have meaningful connections with their sources of investment, partnerships, clients, and talent. So I would say that's the most important things that we can do. But at the same time, we have a program that is called Business Abroad, where we take startups to international tech conferences and try to also engage them with the local partners and local stakeholders. Visor AI will be with us in 4 years from now, in I think 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time. They have been with us back in the days in South Summit, in a pitch competition that we also organized there. So I believe that helping startups in this, like reducing their risks and their costs, reaching new markets that they have in mind for their expansion endeavors, I think it's also a good part of our job.
All right, thank you, Pedro. And talking about investors, do you recommend VC investors? Do you think they are really on your side, helping you out with genuine willingness to help you succeed, or do you think they are only after the money or the returns? And how can actually you can extract value from them? What is your experience with investors?
Well, in our case, we have about 5 or 6 different investors, and I would say all of them are different because we have the first ones, they were business angels, which is, I don't know if you are aware about these terminologies, but are like people with money that invest. In this case, it was funds of business angels, so a fund of money, private money from, let's say, normal people. In the beginning, we thought that we would have a lot of advices and knowledge. Those people, they have money, they already did their thing, so they know how to advise us, and we were completely wrong because usually these people, they are, let's say, corporate jobs, as I had before, and they made their money out of doing, let's say, inserted in a structure which is already organized. And when you start a company, everything is different, as I mentioned. So we realized that this kind of advices sometimes, they had good intention, but they were not quite accurate because the most part of them, they wasn't in our feet. And actually, it's something that I was talking to Luis before, which is in Portugal, today there's not that much, but in 2016 was way less examples of entrepreneurs that already have exited, sold the companies, and just came back to the ecosystem to just invest and be business angels. This is very valuable. 2016, there was not of that in the market, so the business angels were let's say, corporate people. So coming back in time, if I knew what I know, I would not take their money. They are good people and everything, and it was good because I needed the money at the time, but I would prefer not to. More recently, that we have raised VC money. We are in a more, let's say, organized structure where VCs, they have, let's say, a more business approach, and they are professional people. And I believe in that case, I would advise if you want to grow out of a normal thing. Because if you are looking for a business to have a valuation of 20, 30, 40, even 50 million, don't go to VC, because usually they tend to just push you to be for more than 100, which is very hard, especially if you are based in Portugal and doing things from Portugal as we are. Luis for sure has a different idea because he's in the Champions League. I'm playing in the Taça da Liga, so it's a different thing. Okay, yeah. But I'll move to Luis now.
I think, and if you're building a business that requires massive capital up front, if you're building rockets or building a nuclear fusion reactor, I think you need investors from day zero. But actually, I think if you're not building those types of businesses, I think you should delay raising money as much as possible. So if you can bootstrap or you can fund your operations with early customers paying you, I think that's super useful because that can validate that your product has product market fit, gives you a lot of freedom, and then only raise when you need it. I think having investors is super useful because sometimes having these outside voices can be painful, but they are also a good forcing function for you to look into problems that matter. So in our case, for instance, we have a board, we have board meetings, and this sometimes feels like exams in school where without exams, people wouldn't study. So these are good moments for you to really talk about the things that sometimes you don't want to talk about. So these are great forcing functions, and I love our...
Is it normal, like closing a round, start spending money as crazy, hiring people as crazy, and then after some time you realize maybe it was not the best decision? Does it happen? Is it true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it was another thing I was talking to Luis before, which was before we raised last year, we raised 2.3 million euros as a funding round. And I remember before that, I had a conversation with a founder, a very well-known founder in Portugal, someone that is already way ahead of me. And I was asking for some advice and stuff, and he was saying some common mistakes that I will make for sure. And I was like, okay, now I know what you said to me, so I'll not do it for sure. And I did it all. I just did all the mistakes, and then I came back to him and talk again. And I mentioned, oh, look what I did. I just hired this person. I fired this person. And he said, yeah, that's what I advised to you, which is normal, so good. One less learning to learn, so keep pushing forward. And this mindset of like accepting the failure is very important. And in our case, we decided to, we were, let's say, a very founder-oriented company. So we were 3 founders, and we were just, all the operations and everything were combined. We were, let's say, in these 3 founders. So all the teams reported to the 3 founders. As soon as we got the money, we started to hire directors and leads and people in the middle, just for us to be able to delegate. But we realized that it's a different thing, and we really need to be already in a more mature position to do that, because we were not already in a, let's say, a pure growth mindset and a pure growth environment. And the people we hired people from Talkdesk, from Google, from Farfetch, all those big names. And we realized that we were not aligned, because they were already joined those companies when they already were big. So they needed to act as big from day one, and they are now joining a company which is small, so they need to just roll the sleeves and just let's dig into it and just have this more founder approach thing, which is not a thing because it's not their profile. So
I think we are already out of time, so quick, Luis, I think I would love to hear your thoughts on this as well.
On this question?
On this question, on the US angle, because I think it's even
I
more aggressive, I guess.
I think with the expansion is interesting because I really believe that startups are kind of a living organism, and you don't want kind of unnecessary cells in the organism. So I really believe in hiring when you need small, efficient teams. They always beat these larger, slower teams, and you should expansion should follow demand, not precede it. So you should only hire when you need it, because people problems are a different category, and yeah, it's hard to manage.
One word as advice. One word for every single one of you.
Just paraphrasing Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, I kind of wish you ample doses of pain and suffering, because you will need that to build resilience to succeed as a startup. I think that's the...
Pedro and Gonçalo.
Okay, from our side, apply to our business abroad program and come with us to the International Tech Conference.
Gonçalo,
I would say resilience, but he's already mentioned, so I would say adapt.
All right, cool. Thank you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
So amazing panel. So please stick around for the next ones. They will be also amazing. Really quick wrap up. So just about advices, about mistakes. It's supposed to make them. You're supposed to find who to advise. And now I will call on stage for the next panel, growing with a positive impact. Is this an unrealistic dream or a harsh reality? Let's see. Let's check it out. And for that, I will call Rui Gouveia, Ana Barbosa, Filipe Páscoa, Miguel Munhoz Duarte. Let's give him a big round of applause. Please welcome them on stage. Thank you. Take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. My name is Rui Gouveia. I'm the CEO at Build Up Labs. We are both a venture studio and a startup incubator in Marvila, Lisboa. And I'm very happy to be here trying to tackle an important issue. I'll try to get this right. Can a startup grow while being truly focused on both environmental and social responsibility, or do they need to prioritize one over the other? So to do that, I'm joined by an amazing panel to help us navigate these issues. Ana, Felipe, Miguel, can you please introduce yourselves briefly?
I'll try to be brief. Hi, I'm Ana, I'm Portuguese, born in the north of Portugal, small city called Barcelos. I've worked in the textile industry and the wood furniture industry before joining IKEA, and that was in 2001. And since then, I think I've met my work partner for life, it seems, not sure, but it seems. And I've worked then in different areas of IKEA. I've worked in purchasing together with suppliers. I was fortunate to work in Portugal, to work in Southeast Asia, and to work in Central Europe. At this time, I worked a lot with our code of conduct close to our suppliers. Sustainability was not a huge word then, but we already had our code of conduct, and that was my task. Then I moved to Portugal to retail, where I have been since. And since 2017, after being in the middle of what retail is in the selling team, I went back to sustainability, and that's where I've been since 2017. It's a happiness for me, to be honest, to be living in Lisbon and to be working with sustainability in IKEA. It's a perfect merge, a perfect scenario for me. I'm also a proud, sometimes concerned mother of a 6-year-old. Felipe.
Thank you. Bom dia. I'm Felipe Pasqua. I'm the CEO and founder of Enlight. What we do, we use AI, social data intelligence, to identify and classify information disorders and hate speech and other bad things that are circulating in the internet. And you have a bunch of AI assistants that help us to inoculate and debunk this kind of information in principles of kindness and non-violent communication. We work globally with UN agencies, governments, NGOs. I worked in the impact in the humanitarian field about since early 2000, in several NGOs, several countries. Now I'm back in Portugal. We have Enlight founded in Alcácer do Sal, probably in Alentejo. And now in this moment of my career, I'm about to almost 50. I'm renovating my purpose votes, and I'm seeing myself not an ethical hacker anymore, but more a gentleness hacker. So, and you can use AI for it.
Cool. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. My name is Miguel, half Spanish, half Portuguese, but I prefer Portugal. I live here, studied here. I was previously having a career in corporate, but in 2004 I decided to come back to Portugal to start my own business. Since then I've started 6 companies. I've sold 2 of them, not big exits, but I sold them. And I failed 2 as well. And currently I have 2. One of them is IMET, organizing this event, although I'm non-executive, I don't do anything. So the event is not mine, it's the team's. And the second one is No Code Institute, which is a digital reskilling school, namely focused on bringing impact, reskilling people with technology, without code. And we've been doing this since 2022.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, Ana, first question. Is it possible for a new company to integrate sustainability and impact goals right from the beginning, or is it something that the leadership team should discover along the way?
In today's reality,
Yeah.
I would argue that it's possible, desirable, perhaps even needed. I'll come back to that. I'll share a bit about IKEA and our journey. IKEA has celebrated 80 years old. Far from a startup, perhaps. But our founder, Ingvar Kamprad, when he started in 1943, perhaps that reality was a little bit a startup reality. The success of the company, I believe, is very much connected with the fact that our founder was a visionary. From the beginning, he has integrated in the company strong culture and values and a strong, powerful vision. And that has led us to today. If I mention a few of the values, cost and resource consciousness. This has been there from the beginning, doing more from less. In a time where I've said it before, sustainability was not a word, these concerns were not a reality, but concerns for resources and efficiency were there from the beginning. Giving and taking responsibility was there from the beginning, so making sure that all in the company, from leaders to co-workers, are taking their responsibility. Caring for people and planet is one of our core values as well. And then the vision, which has been there also since the beginning, to create a better everyday life for the many people, is a powerful vision. It adapts very well to our business, our core business, which is home furnishing, but it is timeless. It has meaning, it is meaningful in its core. And this has been a strength, because when we were naturally integrating sustainability in our business, it made sense to all in the company. And all in the company are aligned with these values, with creating a better everyday life for the many people. And that also means home furnishing products that last long, that can be prolonged, renewed, sold, and bought again. It also means that I can have more efficient appliances at home. It means that I need to take care of my supply chain and the impact of my operations, and it means also that I need to look at the people that the supply chain touches. So I would challenge, or I would argue that for startups today, it is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to integrate this in the core. Because in today's reality, where climate change or climate crisis is with us every day, and rising inequalities, there is a demand from different stakeholders. We can come back to that. But there is a demand from different stakeholders to have answers and to have companies that are doing their business while with a meaning and while having positive impact.
Right, great. So I guess the answer is yes, it should be there from the beginning. And Miguel, No Code Institute is definitely a company, a startup that from the beginning has these impact goals at its core. But my question is, there was also a great business opportunity there with the new no-code tools and the lack of developers in the market. So my question is, what comes first? In your case, was it the business opportunity that you saw, or was it the social impact that you could bring with your company?
I don't know, to tell you honestly. So I think impact is a fancy word, sustainability, fancy words. In my thought process, and also my co-founder, we didn't have that, intention in the beginning. We discovered an opportunity, which was a set of tools that allow anyone to build technology without code. As a non-technical person, I said, wow, this is great. And the question was, who else would benefit from this? Where could we create more value? So I think the question was actually value more than impact. Then what type of value are we creating? So it's okay, we can create value, economic value, we can value for us as well, okay, but we can create a little bit more amplified notion of value. And that's what we were aiming. We tested several business models with different, probably, levels of impact, as we call it. And I think we ended up finding the one that was more resonating with the market, and that's what we doubled down. And it was more, I would say, shared value. I think that is the word. So value for us, economic value, but also value for the society. And I think that shared value, for me, it's what I call impact. So it was not like, let's create something that creates impact for the world. Let's, I don't know, have this noble mission. No, we were the same, okay, how can I find value? And I think that's the bottom line, that's entrepreneurship, finding value. So if it's a good amplified version of value, the better. And I think nowadays the markets want this kind of value, and probably that's why also in the beginning it was, powerful, and that business model won over the other alternatives.
Great. So you found a way to bring together business value, social value, and
also,
impact.
there was also personal value in it, because, I'm 50, okay? So I'm already 50. So 50, and I'll say, okay, I'm a little bit fed up of too much commercial capitalism. I want to do something that is also good. Make money, yes, but make meaning. And so that was kind of the trigger for us.
But that's not a midlife crisis for you.
Probably it is.
It is. Hopefully not. Flip, you are a believer in diversity and in inclusion in companies. Actually, you've incorporated that into Enlight AI, into the core values of Enlight AI. So my question is, for a startup founder whose main focus is to try to keep the business alive, developing products, finding customers, how can a founder incorporate those initiatives of diversity and inclusion without disrupting the focus on building and growing the business?
Thank you. I think it's not about incorporate. It's more about your beliefs and the way that you want to be in the business. If you believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion are important, much more than a pure stamp, but a kind of the most valuable asset of the company, it's so good. If it represents something that you want because it's nice to have, it will fail.
It will fail, yeah.
Because, and I see the diversity thing, it's something so crucial. It brings lots of benefits to the company. If you look to the market, to the audiences, to the world is diverse. Our clients, the product that we are developing or service, will serve a world plenty of diversity. Another thing that I learned is the power of the diversity. Even in the tech field, traditionally we have lots of engineers and people that comes from with a scientific background. But I do prefer to work with the data analysts, for instance, that comes from the social sciences side, sociologists, anthropologists, and it starts to become a diversity also, because we are looking to the same problem through different perspectives. On the other hand, working with globally, I've been the minority in several cases, in Tajikistan, in Nicaragua, in Mexico, in India, and I understand the value that I'm bringing to the discussion also. And sometimes when you look to the diversity, equity, and inclusion, it doesn't need to be an extreme thing. It can be quite balanced. When you look to the gender diversity or equity, for me, without no question, women with children working part-time are much better than a bunch of eternal teenagers like us. So it's more efficient, responsible. It's much, much better. If you have a tech team balanced, again, women and men, the way you face the problem is totally different. Otherwise, it's a bubble. We all think in the same way. We respond to the questions in the same way. It doesn't work. It will fail. Other thing that I think is important, we talk a lot about the race. Again, the world is global. We are developing products to serve a huge range of perceptions. And the way we communicate it, the way we develop the thing, is the way that it will be shown outside. So putting together, I think it is not a problem. The problem comes when we really build, and as a founder that believes in these things, I want to be surrounded with people that share the same values with me. And then the problem is when we are about to close a deal with a company, with an investor, whatever, and someone in the team makes the question: did you do the due diligence? Are they good people? And yes, and I'm very proud of it when it happens, because it means that we are aligned, our core values are aligned. So it's not a problem. And again, it's the most valuable asset that we have within the company.
Okay, great, thank you. So, new round of questions, just be mindful of the time. Anna, you mentioned previously about doing sales and doing partnerships. How much do these partnerships, these different stakeholders, including your customers, play a role into the sustainability efforts and impact?
A huge role. I mean, in our point of view, the approach to sustainability needs to be covering the whole supply chain. What does this mean? This means that it's from the raw materials to the end of life of the product. And all involved will play a role in making that the product, the solution, the service is more sustainable. Customers, when they use the product at home, as I was saying, when they make it last long, or simply by developing products that are more efficient. This brings more efficient products bring a huge impact in reducing the climate footprint. But then as well, the investment in raw materials. What kind of raw materials are we using? Shall we continue to be relying on fossil fuel? For us, we have an ambition to not to use fossil fuel by 2030, which means incorporating more recycled materials. And this has a huge impact in reducing climate footprint, as well as other measures. In the middle, we have all our operations. It can be our stores, our offices, but it can also be the suppliers where we are producing the products. And in these different parts, transitioning to renewable energy also has a huge impact in reducing the climate footprint. So the power of our strategy, for example, as I see it, is both the ambition. We have a goal. We want to reduce 50% by 2030, aligned with Paris Agreement. We want to be, by 2050, neutral. And then that all the supply chain is working towards the same direction. And this gives results. We have already reduced 30% our climate footprint since 2016. That's our base, while the business is growing. So the business is growing 24%, and the climate footprint is decreasing 30%. This shows that it's possible to dissociate growth of the business from growth of emissions. And this is possible because we are committed, but we have also found the recipe, the right investments in renewable energy, in recycling infrastructures, in equality, diversity, and inclusion, if I may add that note. all of these are strategic areas where we invest and it brings positive business results. And this would be this balance, these investments that bring growth and positive impact is a sweet spot that is a challenge and an opportunity for all the companies to work with.
Got it. Miguel, imagine that I'm a student coming out of No Code Institute and I just had an amazing idea for an app to solve a specific problem for a specific niche. I just want to build product, find customers. Where does impact and sustainability focus comes into play, or should it even come into play?
I guess it depends on what kind of app, what kind of people are we talking?
Okay, so I want to build a fintech app to help freelancers manage their taxes, boring stuff.
Okay, cool. I think, it boils down to, as I said, what value are you creating? And I think there's an angle. It's a fintech, so literacy, so saving money for those small businesses will allow those families, probably hiring people as well. So I think there's an angle on impact. If we just don't look at impact as the politically correct, let's all save the whales, and we look at impact as creating value for other than just yourself. Yeah. And I think if we do it, it's already impact. Now, another thing is to fit into the impact economy, investors, etc., which is a different game, but it's just like like everything else. You have to hack language, you have to hack business model, you have to hack your network. It's kind of a way to navigate that. But I would start by, focusing on value. If you focus on value, you will discover impact. That will be my take.
Perfect. Thank you. Speaking of that, Philippe, we had an early conversation where you mentioned something very, very interesting, which is how to deal with the sustainability of a business and the business of sustainability. Have you untangled that conundrum?
Yes, I can talk about. So let's start with the business of sustainability. It's a business. The sustainability is a business and can be very profitable. If we have a couple of examples of unicorns around the world in the impact area, more on energy, carbon, fintech, health tech. So it can be a business. And now with this, taking the example of the Trump's decision on the cuts on the USAID funds, it will become even more a business because the service that traditionally were provided by NGOs or even governments, now someone needs to take care of it. So I think the impact field, the sustainability field, it's a business. So from the side of the business of sustainability. Now, the sustainability of the business is slightly different because we still see in the investment market some fear of the investment on the impact field, on the sustainability field, and sometimes even founders, they are not looking to this field as a business opportunity. Because I heard lots of time, people think that the impact field is a kind of volunteering thing, that we cannot be a professional of impact. Others think that didn't contribute. It contributed, but not for the global north, I think. In 2007, when Mohamed Yunus won the Nobel Prize, with the concept of social business becomes something very big. But social business are not impact business. So to maintain the social business up, it's very hard because the business model doesn't allow to share profit and so. And even the people when finish college, they don't look to the impact business as an opportunity. But It's possible. I'm a professional activist, basically, which is amazing. And everybody can be also. So it's possible to balance both parts.
Okay, thank you so much. Our time is up. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, it is possible. We've just seen it. We have to keep close to the values, and we have to keep this in mind. What do we have next? Right now, we have a quick examples on how can entrepreneurship and companies and how can the ecosystem build impact in terms of pilots. So the panel is driving change, electric mobility, massification, and building decarbonization for a sustainable future. And for this amazing panel, I will call on stage Catherine Bishop, the moderator. Please welcome on stage. André Calisto, Carla Mendonça Tavares, João Felipe Nunes, and Pedro João. Please feel welcome at stage. Big round of applause, please. Thank you. Please take it away whenever you feel like.
Thank you. All right. Thanks. The last panel before lunch, so we gotta get everyone. Whoop. Woo. Excitement.
Just to break in.
Yeah, let's just break some glass. Good luck. I'm very happy to be moderating this panel. We're getting concrete. I love it. We have some great representatives from industry here, and so we're going to get very concrete on this topic of electric mobility massification and building decarbonization for a sustainable future. On the panel with us today, we have Carla from Galp, who's the head of renewables and the Innovation Center, correct? Pedro João, who is the mixed up CEO and founder of Omniflow. We have João Felipe Nunes, Customer Service Director at Iredes, and André Calixto, the CEO of NextBit. My name is Catherine Bishop. I'm the founder, former founder, and I sit on the board of Extreme Tech Challenge, which is the largest startup competition in the world. So I love seeing great ideas come to fruition and being commercialized and then being integrated through corporates into our industry. But let's get back to the topic. So we're sitting really at the critical intersection right now of two transformative trends. We've got decarbonization of buildings and the electrification of transportation. So these are two very important opportunities to combat not only climate change, but it really changes the way that we interact with our urban environment. So huge momentum, of course, in the EV space. Sales last year up till November were at about 15 million units, which is 25% more from the previous year. In China alone, in July last year, 50% of cars sold were EV cars. So major markets in the EU, of course, Europe, the US, China are seeing unprecedented growth in EV. That's thanks to, of course, a lot of efficiencies in battery, charging, and then on the other side of this coin, we see that buildings account for 40% of carbon emissions. So what does this intersection mean, and how does this convergence provide challenges and opportunities? And that's what we're really going to address here over the next 30 minutes with this great panel. So let's get it going. I'm going to start with like big picture, get into real use cases, and then followed by what does this collaboration between startups and industry really look like. So big picture, big question. How do you see decarbonization evolving in existing buildings and infrastructure? Let's have you take it away, André.
Okay, thanks a lot, Catherine. NextBit focus a lot in buildings and asset management. As you said, buildings are accountable for as much as 40% of the global carbon footprint related to energy consumption. And if you think about the ratio between buildings that have some kind of energy control versus the ones that don't have any kind of control, you see there's a huge path to go on there. So obviously we think that buildings play a major role in decarbonization, especially the existing ones and the older ones. And you need to invest a lot in terms of changing AVAC to more efficient equipment, insulation, thermal insulation, and especially technology. That's our vision, and we think that any decarbonization journey must take into account the existing buildings problem.
Mm-hmm. For you?
For me, and on the same topic, well, when we think about the existing buildings, we have three angles that we can actuate on. One is the electrification, the retrofit, and digitalization. So those three verticals, they can merge together, and we can do a lot of things. So in terms of retrofit, we are talking about simple things like LED lighting, like installing heat pumps or putting PV panels on it. If we took the angle of electrification and the installation of known gas systems, then we can be talking about more sophisticated kind of products or systems or services. But on where we can actually leverage on innovation is on digitalization of the existing buildings. Because all the systems that are there and the systems that we can install to retrofit and to electrify alone, they bring a certain level of decarbonization. But if we bring them together and bring them intelligence, then we will be talking about a different league. And here we have a hedge that can help us a lot with the smart systems, the smart grid, the smart meters that bring us a lot of data and enables us to digitalize everything, and then everything can be connected. We can use our electrical vehicles to be as a storage system of the building, and we can actually store energy in our electric building when the sun is shining, and then bring electricity back to the building when during the night, for instance. Or we can do dynamic pricing, we can do demand response, and we can do a lot of things on the digitalization and AI standpoint.
So, good morning, everyone. We are Redes. We distribute electric energy to 6.5 million customers in Portugal. We cover 99% of Portugal mainland. And we are the enablers, like Carla said, we are the enablers of energy transition because in the network connects the renewable energy that produce renewable energy, but also the electric mobility and the buildings. And let me say that today we have a double responsibility. We are responsible to keep the lights on, so if any problem appears, don't be panicked, we are here. But about buildings and the electric mobility, two things. First of all, we need to produce renewable energy. Otherwise, if we didn't, cars are exchanging petrol by gas. So we need it. The good news is that in Portugal, more than 70% of the energy produced is already renewable. And in Redes, we are assisting to a huge connections. We had in 2021 13 connections regarding big centrals that are connecting to our network. And the last year it was more than 60. As you can see, we are growing a lot for who produces energy. Regarding buildings, two notes. Picking what Carla was saying, we have a smart grid. We have been investing in smart grids. We have 6.5 million smart meters everywhere. Every one of us can go to our digital counter and know your load profile to see if you are efficient or not. But better than it, you can allow another companies, data-driven companies, and companies that create more value to analyze your profiles and provide you new services or new products in order you to be more efficient. Regarding the electric mobility, just to say that this is also increasing a lot. We had 2 years ago kind of 500 connections. This year it was more than 2,000. And this shows the dynamic that you are saying about this growth. And we know that we have to do much more. And in Redes, we have today specific teams for the renewable energies, for the self-consumption. Self-consumption is also fundamental in the buildings because produce part of the energy that buildings need locally and in a renewable way. And this is the path that we are doing here also in our reach.
Thank you.
At OmniFlow, we provide sustainable smart city solutions. Our core product is a smart luminaire, which is powered on the edge by wind and solar. So we can basically retrofit lights that are consuming a lot of power or just providing a simple service of lighting. And by doing this, we reduce more than 90% the power consumption of a traditional light. So decarbonization, this infrastructure. But we can do much more than that. This is just a start. So for example, these luminaires can be equipped with advanced AI systems that detect available parking lot spaces. So a lot of the CO2 footprint of traffic is people looking for a place to park, right? So this can be installed on these existing street lights, right? And many other features, and of course, electric charging stations for electrical vehicles, which is the topic that brings us here today. But
yeah, great. Andre, just picking up on Nextbit and the role of software and technology. Can you get into that about how that technology and your software specifically plays a role and the scalability stage?
Sure. Well, basically, you can only reduce what you measure. That's the starting point. And it's much more than software, to be fair. Besides the software side, we have an IoT solution that is fully adaptable to either existing or new buildings, or, to be honest, any kind of physical asset management that can be addressed with this IoT. And obviously, on top of that, we have AI that wraps up all the data that is gathered and gives you actionable insights about it. But this is what we do at Nextbit, but the key differentiator is people. Basically, what we feel is that besides all the technology that we address and all the focus that we have in physical assets, it's basically having a very skilled team of consultants that help our customers and deliver projects in this specific niche of getting reduced carbon footprints from physical assets.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the pilots and the collaborations that are taking place for the three panelists from Galp Upcoming and OmniFlow. I'm talking about the EV charging massification pilot. So the three of you have been working closely together on this, and it's street lamp posts specifically, if I understand. So what are the key lessons that you've all pulled out of this collaboration? Anna, sorry, Carla.
Lessons from this pilot project. So the first one is there is no single entity that knows it all. So we need to be together on this and create a team of entities with different angles of knowledge. So in this case, we have Galp. Galp is a charging point operator. It does not manufacture EV chargers, and it does not manufacture street lamps, and it doesn't control the grid. Okay, so we need to bring on board the entities that do this. So we have the chargers manufacturer. We have a startup with us that brings together charging points with street lamp posts, and we have a Redes that controls the grid. So why do we need a Redes? A Redes is responsible for turning the lights on in the cities, and the lights turns on during the night, and we want to charge the vehicles during the day and during the night. So we need someone to innovate on this and connect the street lamps that has those chargers installed. And this is called the point-to-point controller. And this is the innovation that Redes brought to this project. So together, we were able to bring to life this pilot project. Another lesson is don't assume that a specific supplier or a specific technology is ready to roll.
Sorry, is ready to roll?
Ready to roll, ready to be installed and deployed.
Sure.
In this case, OmniFlow, amazing product, too much advanced for in terms of LED lighting and the system, so we have to put these entities talking with each other so that the Redes could install and implement a point-to-point controller specifically to the product that OmniFlow is installing. So we cannot assume that a specific technology is ready to be deployed in the real environment. So those are the two lessons that we learned in the pilot project.
All right. For you?
I would say two things. The first one, like Carla mentioned, is collaboration. Sometimes in the power sector, the incumbent was working alone, don't work with the ecosystem. But in the last years, we started to create an ecosystem that have a lot of players in this market. And this is a very simple project in which we can extract more value from the street light points that already exists. And this is very simple. If you need to accelerate something, we need to try to extract more value from the existing infrastructure. Because applying technology on it to solve a problem, because we have a problem, we don't have many people without garage in their apartments and need to charge, and this is perfect to charge at night when people are sleeping. We are creating a new stream of value for all the system based on existing thing. And in Portugal, there are more than 50,000 streetlight points that with minor adjustments, some minor, some a little bigger than minor, we can make this. So imagine what appear this amount of charging stations for slow charging. It's amazing here, and with collaboration, we can extract new streams of value. We were not able to do it in the past.
Yeah, well, at OmniFlow, this is a very recent line of business because we started as a sustainable smart luminaire, and we didn't have the integrated EV charger. Right? But then we listened to the market. We found that that was a problem to integrate a charger inside of the pole itself. There are like some slim chargers that can be installed inside of the pole, but creates a lot of issues regarding who owns the pole, who owns the grid infrastructure, who owns the luminaire. All of this integrate with active elements inside the pole. The same if you want to attach outside charger into the pole. Creates a lot of hurdles. You have to drill the pole, you damage the pole. So we thought, well, let's build our EV charger. And it's actually our latest patent that we submitted late last year to integrate everything inside of the luminaire itself. So by doing this and with the partnerships with Galp and Redes, we can simply retrofit the luminaire and in 15 minutes without damaging the pole or creating any active element inside of the pole. We have an EV charger. So we have a huge asset of how many streetlights?
15,000.
50,000
more easy to
lights
implement because we have kind of 1 million, but 50,000 are more easy to implement. And they're in the places in when we can charge.
And there is already like a good network of fast chargers, but I think there is a huge demand for slow chargers where people can leave the cars charging over longer periods, and this is the perfect solution.
Who instigated the pilot? I'm curious. How did it come to be the pilot? Was it from the corporate side? Did you approach Galp? Like, how did all of this come to collaborate?
It all started in ideation process at Galp, and we initiated the process of finding the right partners, and the right partners are people that are involved in the street lamp business or ecosystem, which are who is manufacturing street lamps and who are controlling the street lamps.
Okay. So that kind of flows well into the next, very mindful of the time, some advice to startups about this type of collaboration, and based on your experience, kind of the advice that you specifically would give to founders and engineers working on their solutions. You mentioned a bit of it at the beginning. Like, how do you move beyond the pilot project? How does that then get integrated in a more meaningful manner and a scalable manner?
Yeah, so my advice to startups that are willing to collaborate with corporates is always measure the success of the pilot project and measure the return on investment. This is very important. Beyond the pilot, is this scalable? Is profitable? Or are we saving money with this? In this case, it's both. We are creating a new revenue stream for the company, but at the same time, we are saving a lot of costs because of the construction that is avoided when installing new charging points, in this case. So always measure the success. And the success could be, going back to decarbonization, measure the CO2 avoidance. It could be also a measure of success. But always bear in mind that pilot projects are not a success by itself. It's only a success if we can scale it up. So bear in mind that we need to calculate always the return on investment.
I would say, first of all, we need to know better each other, because if any company knows, for instance, Redes provides a lot of data. Some of you didn't know that. We have an open data platform. You can use it and transform it. If we know each other and what each company can provide to the other, I think it's the first thing. The second, like Carla said, we need to have the end game in mind, but you have to pilot. Yeah. Because if you don't pilot, as you know, in the Excel, in the PowerPoint, it's amazing. You have to test it, and some kind of patience, because sometimes you are the guys of the regulation and security, so some kind of patience from the technology companies that wants the things tomorrow. Sometimes it's not possible tomorrow, but maybe it's possible after tomorrow. And this ecosystem must grow in this way.
From the startup perspective, please.
Yeah, well...
and under a minute, because I have one more question.
In our case, we want also this pilot to be used and to prove that we can do much more than just the EV charger. Yeah. EV charger is an opportunity also for other services that will benefit a lot the citizens. So, for example, if you want to leave your car charging at night, you want to make sure that it's safe for the car to be there, right? I had my wheels stolen 2 times in the middle of the city, right? So imagine a charger with security aspects, also a charger that informs you exactly if it's occupied or not. So far, a charger, if you park your car and you don't put it to charge, it says it's free, but you arrive there and it's occupied with a combustion car. If you drive electric, you know this is a familiar situation. So we want this pilot to also be used to demonstrate that there's a lot of other features that are real right now, and we can make it happen, and we are here to make it happen.
So to close it off, I'd like every panelist to share a key takeaway or a call to action about accelerating decarbonization and electric mobility. And we'll start with you, André.
Well, my point of view is that we need to refocus society, to be honest. In the last couple of months, concerns about ESG and decarbonization are getting away from the major concerns, and things are getting a lot darker, and obviously we need to do whatever is in our reach to refocus in these kind of objectives that are much healthier to everyone.
And I think Europe has a great role now to step up and into. But for you?
Yeah, so up to now, legislation was a big hurdle, but Galp and Redes did the initial pilot that opened this possibility of using the street lights. So this is a great first step that we are here to applaud.
Yeah. I think my advice in the last takeaway is challenges, because we are an incumbent company. We are a regulated company. Of course, we have to comply with the regulation and safety, but we can make many things together using your approach and using what we need to maintain. And never forget, this is not only about decarbonization. We are talking about decarbonization, but it's more than it. Today, we are living in a crazy world, so things related to independence, security of supply. We are very lucky to have natural resources, so we need to accelerate all of this.
Well, my main takeaway is that we are missing here in the panel a big piece of the puzzle, which are the municipalities. We can't do nothing in the streets without the municipality approval. And those can be, how can I say, less agile, okay, than we would expect. So from the beginning, we need to bring all the players, all the stakeholders on the table and discuss everything end to end. Because we three of us, in terms of massification, we did an amazing job. The product is ready to be scaled up. But who owns the streets?
Yeah.
The municipalities.
Yeah, I love that, Carla. So on that note, if you could all name the city that has done the best job of this in Europe or in the world for you.
Yeah. The best city, well, our first pilot project was launched in Cascais. So I would say that Cascais is doing an amazing job in becoming more agile in terms of approving all the pilot projects for a more sustainable city. But I wouldn't say that Cascais is better than any other municipalities. I'd just say that they have a different way of approaching these pilot projects, and probably those lessons learned by them can be implemented by others. On the buildings, again, municipalities, but also regulation and incentives. Incentives are key for residential and enterprise customers start investing in new systems to decarbonize the buildings. Without incentives, things decarbonization will not evolve as fast as we wish.
All right. Our time is up. I'd like to thank you for this interesting talk and encourage much more collaboration between innovative ideas, startups, and then with obviously our municipalities, grid owners, and industry. So thank you so much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You've just created the ground for the next panel. That's exactly what we're going to speak about now. They just gave a perfect example on how startups and companies can come together and develop pilots. So I will now start we will have the panel Mission Carbon Zero Lisbon edition. And for this panel, I will have to make a magic trick. Are you ready? Magic trick. Are you ready? Are you ready? Now you see a host. Now you see a moderator. You didn't even notice. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't even notice. You didn't even notice. Okay, so for this panel, I will call Pedro on stage. I will call Nuno Comando. I will call Manuel Andrade, and I will call Pedro as well. Let's go. Thank you very much. Obrigado. Oh, let me just take the magic dust off. So, how are we feeling? Good?
Good.
Oh, good. Great. So, as you can see, we've had a few changes. This is entrepreneurship. Welcome to the entrepreneurial world. Iteration, adaptation. We need to be constantly improving, yeah? So, Pedro, I'm going to start with a really brief presentation on Mission Carbon Zero, just to give them a quick context on what we're going to talk about here, and they will see how this is exactly what the previous panel was talking about. So, what did we understand? We understood that Lisbon was one of the 100 cities that was committed to do this, to carbon neutrality in the CCC, the climate contract. And so Lisbon has to deliver concrete results until 2030. What we felt was like, okay, we want to be a part of this. We can add value, we can bring solutions as an entrepreneurship ecosystem. So what we did was, let's see if we can collaborate to make Lisbon a carbon neutral city. And so we challenged the ecosystem to join forces to understand the challenges, to address them, and to develop pilots that could actually have a real impact, as the ones we saw just before, okay? So, who did we challenge? Companies, enablers, Municipality of Lisbon, startups, and citizen will also be involved in this, okay? Just so you know, what does this mean? This is a process. It has a lot of phases. We will have matchup between company, challenge, and then with startups, and then we will have the pilot deployment, okay? I'm not going to bother you with more details. Why am I showing this? Because we will have a website ready already for you to check the details on the information. Who is in at this phase? So, as co-organizers, we have the amazing Unicorn Factory. So then we have also institutional partner, the Municipality of Lisbon. Galp is the first company to join in. And then we have a lot of enablers without, like Casa do Impacto, Microsoft, Nextbit, Portugal Ventures, and Startup Portugal. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit at a table and see what can we bring to the table and add value together. So we will do this movement together. Is it clear? Perfect. Now I'll shut up and start the questions. Okay, so let's start with you, Pedro. And this question will go through all of you, okay? So who are these amazing individuals, and what can your company or organization bring to the table to this movement?
Yeah, so basically at Unicorn Factory Lisboa, we are now verticalizing some of the spaces that we work with. And one of them, it's the sustainability segment with our Green Hub. So what we try to do there is to join the community between the different kinds of players in this vertical. So projects like Mission Carbon Zero are one good example of a cooperation that we want to happen more and more for the Green Hub as a whole. The main focus is not that we develop all the activities that happen there, but all these amazing companies, corporate partners, investors, startups have different opportunities that can happen under the umbrella of these verticals, and that we can support and be the facilitators that can help all those startups to grow and all those partners to have that interaction with the ecosystem, to grow value, to gain scale, and for us also to become competitive with other different countries, not just in Europe, but in the world.
Exactly, perfect. So just let me, why this slide came up, because I forgot it. That's also humanity at its best. And this slide will guide you to the website where you can join this movement. You can join this movement as a lot of different papers, so roles. So just check it out. If you want to join, just jump in. So Manuel, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so, well, good morning. Yes, you know, when we got involved in Mission Carbon Zero for Lisbon was very logical for us. So Galp, it's a company that it's committed to the energy transition. And one of the most important things for us is try to get the ecosystem together in order to do pilots. In the previous panel, they discussed that a lot. But it's something that we really need to focus on because, and I don't want to sound pessimistic here, not at all, but it's, we are not being able to do the pilots that we need. You know, and for instance, in my field, the energy transition, there's a lot of solutions, there's a lot of technologies that they work in the lab, but then, in order to be a business, you need to try them in real-world environments. You need to try them in public space. And only if you try them there, and it's where you can know that you can build a business case. And if you build a business case, that's where you make money. And if you make money, they will scale. Otherwise, they won't. I think we all can agree on that. You need to make money to make something big and to make it large and for everybody to use. And the only way to do this is through collaboration and is to get an ecosystem like this one together, and where we can try to join forces and overcome the hurdles that are in our path, which are, some of them are big, some of them were actually talked in the previous panel. But just for you to have this idea, we were talking about one small part of the puzzle, which was electric massification. If you want to decarbonize a city, there's hundreds or thousands of solutions that need to be tested and need to be scaled, and we need to start doing that.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Manuel. Nuno.
So hello everyone, it's an honor to be here with you guys, and I'm Nuno, I'm the director of Casa do Impacto, and we are a one-stop shop for impact innovation. 6 years ago we created this hub where we gather we believe all the tools for early stage startups to grow, and this hub is powered by a 5th century organization, Santa Casa. So it's quite hard for the foreigners when they see it, but it is true. We support startups, entrepreneurs, and also organizations that want to develop solutions connected with this topic of impact, not only social impact, but also environmental impact. And for the past 6 years, we have been doing so, and we help the projects to grow alongside a very special group of partners and providers of mentorship and capacity building programs. And this is what we do mainly. So we have these 3 verticals: capacity building, incubation, and investment. And we try to gather all the tools for them to grow. And we help around 120 startups annually, and half of them are connected with sustainability. So this is, we want to create pipeline for this ecosystem to grow and also to test in real environments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nuno. Pedro, you want to go?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. And I start to congratulate iMatch and Unicorn Factory and all the municipality of Lisbon, of course, and all the partners for this initiative, Mission Carbon Zero. Is definitely an initiative that will give a relevant contribution to put Lisbon and Portugal on the map as a clean tech hub in Europe. Portugal Ventures, we are a venture capital firm. We are public. We work on the market gaps. That's where our sweet spot is. We work for verticals, digital, industry, life sciences, and tourism. We do equity, we invest in equity and quasi-capital instruments like convertible loans and safes. Early stage, that's where we feel we complete our mission. We have the pre-seed call InnovID, which was recently, I believe it's still open. I'm not sure about the dates, but call InnovID, they focus on pre-seed projects. Many of them are on the universities, so it's a very important call to take out some ideas that can be converted in businesses coming out of the universities. We follow a very standard procedure. Also, the amount of investment is also a standard amount. And we believe that we also have a focus, we call InnovID, on clean tech besides circular economy and other verticals. Also, we have an important role closing rounds on MVPs. participating in syndicated rounds of funding. Two important sectors for our activity, life sciences and tourism. We are the few operators investing on these two areas with the specific funds. We expect by the end of this semester to set up a new fund, Deep Tech Fund. I believe you already heard about it. And this fund, of course, will have a focus also on clean tech and decarbonization technologies. Also, BPF is active and deploying funds for the clean tech. So I believe our Portugal Ventures and BPF as a group, we can have an important role here. We are working together with Clean Tech Iberia. It's a spin-off from Breakthrough Energy. And they are very active putting together investors, entrepreneurs, and I believe they will play an important role putting Europe on the map as a clean tech hub. Well, to conclude, I believe that Mission Carbon Zero has a perfect fit with these instruments that we have at the moment and are being implemented in Portugal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pedro, for sharing, and also for filling the shoes of Teresa, and very well represented.
That's part of a startup life, and you already mentioned, so I kept time.
Exactly. You planned 70%.
But one thing for sure, Teresa was very sad for not being here today with you. She received a lot of messages saying that she would, but, well, she couldn't.
Exactly. Okay, so now I'll take your intake and just ask you why collaboration matters in this movement. So why does it matter that this movement is a collaborative one? Do you want to?
Yeah, I can start. In the job that I think that we all do, we all know that innovation is not made just by one kind of player. It's made by corporates that have the muscle, the experience, the knowledge to go forward with an idea. Goes with the startups and the founders that have good ideas, but usually without having investment, without having someone that trusts on their idea and their pilots, can't execute it or put it on the market. Doesn't goes with an investor that goes for it, and doesn't goes also with facilitators that can help them go faster than others that are competing with them on the market. So I think it's a natural movement that this ecosystem is built on a collaborative way, where each one benefits from the work of the other, and there is a win-win relation on growing together.
Thank you very much. And it's a bit of a like an evolution also on our side, right? So because I feel like Portuguese culture is very
village way.
Yeah, exactly. very. I'm super special, so I will take this on, and it will be super. No, it's together. It's stronger. Manuel, do you want to add anything?
I totally agree. So it's nobody knows it all, nobody owns it all. So we all need to collaborate, and those are most of the times complex problems. Doing entrepreneurship, having new ideas, turning them into business is not easy. Think of a dreamer that in a lab has an idea that will change the world. Unfortunately, it's not true. And so we all need to collaborate, and we all need to create the perfect conditions in order to, in small increments, small ideas that can grow, and we can change the bigger picture, because there's a lot to change in the bigger picture.
Yeah, thank you. Nuno, you want to add?
Yeah, I think Pedro and Manuel already said it all, but collaboration is actually it's key for the success, not only for our projects, Casa do Impacto, for instance, but also for our projects, because we need to provide them tools and space for them to not only test in a Santa Casa environment that is very particular, but also in a real company
environment. So this is what we try to provide them, and this kind of collaborations in this kind of programs, it's also very important for us, Casa do Impacto, because we have all the assets needed for them to test and everything.
There not much more to say.
Yeah.
It's the air we breathe, but I can mention that in Portugal Ventures, 4 years ago, we started working on a network, a corporate network, because we understood there was a big difference in between a startup, a dynamic, and a corporate, an incumbent corporate, big corporate in the market. And we understood on these 4 years that we can play an important role as a translators between what is the dynamic of a startup and the language they speak and a corporate. And I believe that the startups brought a very important contribution to corporates with this spirit of cooperation instead of competition. And nowadays, we see much more different situation, and also the corporates are much more willing to cooperate.
Yeah, great. So collaboration is key. We can all agree. And why us? Let's keep in mind in terms of well, the strategies that we have in hands, the initiatives that we have in hands, also the mistakes that we've made. Please share them, and maybe some advices that we couldn't share. What can we bring to the, you want to go?
I think the ecosystem is following a natural path of growth, and we are also trying to understand where it goes. In my perspective, I think it's going way more on the concrete value of the interactions between the player than just promoting or have awareness. So 10 years ago, we were creating the awareness on the ecosystem, positioning Portugal as one of the innovation countries in the world. I think now it's making that happen. And I think I totally agree with Manel was saying that the materialization of a pilot, it's not an easy task. It might seem that it's just, okay, here is a good startup, here is Galp, okay, you have an introduction, that's it. But it's not. The regulations that the startups have to understand, the context of the company that the startup have to understand, and otherwise, the translation that the corporate has to do to the startup to materialize the objectives that the corporate has, so the startup also understands that they both have to grow together. It's not an easy thing to put in place. So I think we are now passing on the ecosystem to a more concrete part of the project's execution, and passing from an awareness part from an implementation part. And that's why all these initiatives are appearing, open innovation initiatives, the hubs that we are opening, all the materialization of good projects that we are seeing appearing from corporate partners, even in terms of the number of people that works on corporate teams of innovation, it's growing and growing. So now you are seeing that corporates are being more prepared to face the challenges, and not just scouting 2 or 3 startups that would be good to have on the pitch. So I think it's the years that we will see real results and materialization of the work that have been well done through these 10, 15 years on the ecosystem.
Yeah, and picking up on what you were saying, Pedro. So even if all goes well and between a startup and a corporate, and they are two different beasts, they talk different languages, and the problem is if they get along and if they can work together and if they can try a product, then he's trying it. And sometimes the hurdles are very big. And if you want to try them in public spaces or in places that are not confined, is very difficult. We had several pilots that we were not able to do because, well, we were not able to do. I won't say anything else. And that's the question. We need to start being more practical, and we need to try to get the ecosystem ready, because as I was saying, there's not one great idea that will change it all, so we need to work with a lot of startups and entrepreneurs that have ideas, and we need to test those ideas. We need to talk the same language, and so then we need to try to understand if we can make money with it. So the startup makes money, the corporate makes money, and if we can test that in a real environment, everything will go well. But it's not. Yeah. But as of now, we need to do more.
Yeah, definitely need to do more, and in a more agile way. That's what we're aiming here for.
Yes.
Nuno.
Yeah. Yeah, testing new solutions in this kind of environments is very difficult, and in companies' environment it's very difficult. It's hard work. So you can imagine to test it in a 500 years old organization like Santa Casa. Yeah. So it's very hard work for everyone, and we think we can bring some knowledge and experience in that topic. What we have learned from the past 6 years of trying to bridge these entrepreneurial solutions with the day-to-day activities of Santa Casa, so we can bring this to the table and also to learn a lot from this experience between these partners in order to also try to fail less times than we did from the past 6 years. So this is what we are trying to bring, and also we need to provide them the space, as I said before, for them to test with the best in the business, and we have here a couple of the best companies and organizations in the business. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, what I can add from our experience in Portugal Ventures, we have at the moment 160 companies at our portfolio. 70 are very early stage. But what we can see from the hurdles and the constraints that normally came with proof of concepts and pilots is communication. Is the lack of clarity, the lack of in between the objectives, in between the companies and the startups, in terms of objectives, in terms of what is supposed to happen after, if they prove their case, what is supposed to happen, will there be a roll-up or not? So I believe that is the most problem, which gives a startup already has a very volatile life, and without the capacity to predict what will happen after the pilots, it's much more difficult. Sometimes the projects, they stop because they get out of cash, and that's it. They don't have time to be waiting for 3-4 months for a decision from a corporate, because those objectives, those KPIs were not set up in the right time.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I'll just give you a final wrap-up. This is, we've been around. we've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned a lot of things, and we believe that together we can go further, okay? So this is really an open movement, as you can check online. And as an open movement, we invite you, we instigate you to bring your value to the table, and to, within all of us, to understand how can we go further and stronger with more impact and actually change things, and to make them undeniable to have to happen. Okay, so this is the intention that we are aiming here for. Okay. Also, just to share a quick note on the vision, if this is entrepreneurship, if we can make it, there's the question. If we can make it together, we can make it more likely. But if you can make it, we can also actually build a case, and we can bring that case to the other 100 cities that have signed this contract. So we can be Lisbon, and the Lisbon entrepreneurship ecosystem can be the benchmark for other cities. Okay, that's the vision. So please feel enthusiastic and join us on this movement. Thank you very much and have a nice break. And we'll see you after with a lot of very interesting panels. Okay? Thank you very much. Obrigado. Chega.